does that.
And Gil, as we watch this, we want to remind our viewers this is a suspect wanted for reckless driving and suspected DUI. You see how erratic that he has been acting. Has this stayed on surface streets over the time that you've been over this?
Yeah, everything that we've seen has been on surface streets. This is the first time that we've known of him driving up to the freeway, and now he's beyond it. So looks like no access there, but if he gets to Imperial here, and he could have access to the freeway here, he's making a left-hand turn or maybe a U-turn. Let's see. He's going the wrong direction, so I don't know if this is the on-ramp or the off-ramp, I should say, to the freeway or not, but it possibly might be. I don't have eyes on it out my side of the helicopter. This is Imperial Highway, so that's a good sign. He's not going up the freeway in the wrong direction, but he is on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, and that's concerning too, because we can see the arrows all pointed the other way. So the danger factor is there because other cars could be heading toward him at this point. Can you give us a little bit of a wider look to see how many cars or what it looks like out there, Gil?
Yeah, here he is going onto the wrong direction. So he's westbound on the eastbound side of Imperial Highway. So there's the airship overhead, the Sheriff's Department helicopter keeping an eye on it. But he's on the wrong side of the road, and so far light traffic on Imperial Highway in his direction. So at this point, there's no big danger. He's moving slow enough so that people coming towards him will get out of the way. Now he's moving back to the right side of the road, and thank goodness he does, because we don't want to see anything bad happen here.
Yeah, the only good thing right now, considering everything that's going on, there's not a lot of people out on the roads. We did see one person I think I saw a person crossing the street there for a moment, but not a lot of pedestrians as we continue to see that erratic behavior. It sounds like he's looking back maybe at those deputies, Gil, and we've seen him, just talk about that. I mean, he was even waving a box at one point. It's just really unusual, especially considering he's still dragging that spike strip behind him.
Still dragging that spike strip. In fact, the sheriffs are, the airship is letting the units behind him know that he's still dragging that spike strip and not to run over it because those spikes are active.
Yeah, and you can kind of see at this moment here, too. He looks like he's using his hands to talk a lot. He almost looks like he's waving. Is he trying to talk to some of the other cars on the other side of the roadway, Gil?
Yeah, let me come out and see if there's anybody on the sidewalk. Yeah, there was a couple people in that driveway right here that it looks like he was shouting at. So there's people coming out of their houses and hearing the sirens coming down the street. They hear that happening. They come out and they're giving the driver's giving shout outs to the people on the street.
Gil, it's been a few minutes now since we identified his location. What can you tell us about where you are right now?
So he's eastbound on Imperial Highway, and it looks like he's approaching Century, possibly. Let's see here. I'm trying to get the street for you. But he's going to continue westbound on Imperial. That was Compton.
Okay.
He just crossed Compton.
All right, and Gil, we can kind of see, too, how much the car looks like it's shaking at this point, because that left front tire is pretty much completely, it's getting almost bald at this point.
Yeah, let's take a closer look at this. I'm going to zoom in even tighter, and you can see how that tire is about to come off. So that's step one of the process of a spike strip, what it does to your tires. But because he's driving so slow, it's taking longer.
Gil, going back to strategy, it just seems like, he's just being a punk. He just wants to ride around and have some fun at this point. He's clearly not in the right state of mind. Is that another vehicle just passing by him as if there's no chase, or the deputy still right behind him?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is the units on the ground have pulled back. They're backing off at quite a distance. In fact, they might even be pulling off of it. But the airship's overhead and tracking, but they are giving him some more room, some distance here. I'm looking out my pilot side window, and I do see more units approaching. But at this point, they backed off a little bit. Let's see what happens if they come in. Here they go. They're coming right back in. So they're back on it in the pursuit here. They have not backed off of it just briefly, maybe. I'm not sure why they pulled back like that, but normally we see that in erratic driving, where they're driving so fast and erratic that they'll back off and give this guy some thinking distance and think, make sense of what he's doing. So, but at this point, this guy just looks like he's on a joyride and waving to people like a parade.
Yeah, and you can see he kind of looked like he almost was waving his finger, pointing some people as well that we're watching here. It almost looks like it's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse here, but when it does come down to strategy, now that the police are back behind him, what are they really able to do at this point? Because there's the spike strip there in the way, looking like trying to do a pit maneuver at these speeds would be pretty difficult because it's so slow. It's almost a bit of a waiting game for them right now.
Pretty much, you're right. It is too slow for a pit. It won't disable the vehicle. It'll spin him out, you know, they could also use a tactic where they come in with multiple vehicles after a pit maneuver and block them in. But so far they're just using a lot of patience with this driver and hoping that those tires will soon come off, and then he'll have a real problem steering that vehicle. It's hard enough right now with flat tires, but when the tires come off, then it's just rim, and it's really hard to steer a vehicle like that.
Gil, you wonder how much longer he can even go. It appears that all 4 tires are clearly shredded, and now we're seeing people out in the street. It's become kind of a sideshow. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, man, there was a bike there in the road, and this guy's chasing him on foot. You never want to do this. If you're a member of the public and you're out and you see a pursuit come by, you never want to do this. And those officers, those deputies are going to cut that guy off and make sure he doesn't approach that guy. But that guy was looking like he wanted to catch up and maybe do something to the driver here. You never want to do that. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, it looked like he had his phone out too, and knowing everybody, I mean, everyone might be trying to post on social media, but you guys, it's not worth it. You're not supposed to run into the middle of a police pursuit, no matter how slow it might be.
Exactly. You never want to do that. You're putting yourself at great risk. I mean, what happens if there's a weapon involved? You know, that's another thing. But we haven't heard that from this driver. We haven't heard that there's a weapon on board or anything like that. So, but still, you never want to approach someone in this condition.
Gil, as we watch this, I mean, have you ever seen a car pull a spike strip like this?
I have, actually. I've seen a pursuit where it's attached to the vehicle like that. The problem for the deputies is if they do want to try to do a pit maneuver, they're probably not going to want to do it from that side of the vehicle. Now he's put it in reverse a little bit here, and the spike strip does not come off. You know, you never want to see the vehicle go back towards the law enforcement at all, because then now that's a threat to them. It becomes an assault with a deadly weapon at that point if he tries to ram those officers in reverse or forward, either way. But at this point, I don't know if this guy really knows what he's doing. Here's his audience that he was yelling at just a little while ago, and he's going to continue right on by them.
Yeah, and it looks like he's almost trying to shake that spike strip in a way, too, whether he knows that he has it attached to his car or not. I mean, he's not feeling good when he's driving on those rims here as well. Give us an idea again. Are you eastbound now once again on the Imperial Highway?
That's correct.
Okay, because he's turned.
Eastbound. He made that U-turn. He's eastbound now. He's heading back towards Wilmington Avenue, and you see him with his hand out the window, waving and gesturing again. So, you know, at some point, the deputies are gonna bring this to an end. If the tires, you know, don't fail and give out, they'll eventually figure out a way to bring this to an end, because they can't have this happening, you know, all night long. You gotta bring it to an end at some point. But at this point, the driver still, you know, driving at speeds of about 10 miles an hour or less, but refusing to comply with the officers. Is
this the off-ramp, so to speak, off Imperial Highway that he was going up earlier, Gil? Is that what we're saying? Is complete turnaround here?
Yeah, so what I thought was the freeway was not. It's the bridge for Imperial, and it's the road to get back to Wilmington Avenue. So he is on that, going the proper direction this time, and we'll see. I'm imagining he's going to make a right-hand turn and go back to the area where we first came upon him.
You see those hazards that are flashing in the back of his car, too, once everything has now happened to his tires there. And we're seeing him with his hand waving out. For anybody that's just tuning in, we want to remind you again, the initial want on this car was reckless driving. Deputies believe that this man behind the wheel may be suspected of driving under the influence. He has his left hand out there waving. And Gil, we've been checking in to see if there's anybody else in the car. We've gotten a little bit of a better look around the vehicle, but what do you say? It still might be hard to see.
Yeah, we're going to wait till he comes out of from underneath the freeway, but we're maneuvering the helicopter around other helicopters here, but we'll try to get a view for you. It didn't look like there was anybody in the back. The question is there anybody in that front passenger seat? It's hard to say at this point. Oh wait, I see something. Maybe that's the driver. I thought I saw an arm waving there in the windshield. There might be a front passenger as well.
And Gil, when he was on this road earlier, we talked about how there was a little bit of heavier traffic. Is that still the case? All you headed in the direction he's going in now?
Yeah, right, Jonathan. So now he's going the direction of that heavier traffic. Now, I don't know if that heavier traffic was because they slowed down to see all the what was going on with the police lights and sirens and stuff. So right now, he's still driving so slow that he's not going to be able to catch up to any traffic. Here's a wider, longer look down the street, and he just has really no traffic in front of him. So it's likely that traffic going the opposite direction earlier was from just looky-loo traffic.
Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any real reason for him to stop at this point, and these poor deputies are just going to keep following him around unless he stops. And now it looks like he's picking up a little bit of speed, not much more than when he was going.
He is a little bit more, and what that'll help get those tires off the rims, and then it'll be very difficult for this driver to get around.
All right, so this is happening around sunset here. A really hot day across Southern California. I see him with the windows down, waving to everybody. Has he talked to some? I see some other people on the side of the street. Does he look like he's motioning to try to talk to some of them too, Gil?
I think so. I think what he's doing is he's looking for an audience, and he'll find them, people on the sidewalk or even on the opposite side of the street, like we saw earlier on Imperial. There's a guy in the middle of the street waving at him, but he's looking for that, and then he'll slow down. So this is about as fast as we've seen him drive. Hopefully he doesn't try to go any faster because it can be very dangerous.
And Gil, the biggest thing here right now, especially for the community, is you don't want to encourage this guy to keep going. I mean, that only makes things harder on deputies, and it just puts more people in danger.
Exactly, and the problem the deputies have right now is that this is a suspected DUI driver. You don't want to let him go, because if he drives off in this condition now with the tires popped and having difficulties, controlling the vehicle, now he could endanger other people. So it makes it very tough for the deputies to, make a decision here and end it, or let it keep going until this guy maybe runs out of gas or the tires come off.
And it looks like he's kind of getting a little jerky there with the car. Like you said, you can kind of see his hands on the steering wheel, Gil, that he looks like he's having a hard time controlling that car. Does it look like all four wheels were damaged by that spike strip?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Look at that front driver's side. He's down to the rim now. So he's got rim on that side. This side in the back still has tire, but it's flat. And the other side, it looked like he still had some tires, but at least one now is down to the rim. So, of course, yeah, that's going to make it very difficult for this guy to turn, to steer, move around that vehicle and try to, navigate a U-turn or whatever. That could be the point where the deputies try to do a pit maneuver on it because he has simply no tread, and that can spin him completely out of control, and then he won't be able to drive out of it.
As we watch this erratic driver, a DUI suspect, Gil, can you give us another location? And we notice as he goes through intersections that they seem to be empty. Are sheriffs doing traffic control up ahead?
They are on the major streets. Like that was a minor street that he just passed, but on the major streets they are shutting it down and making sure that there's no cross traffic if he tries to run a red light. And we did see him pass several cars at one of the intersections just a moment ago. So they are doing that. They're doing, shutting down the streets, across streets at least. There's a guy coming out, a couple of people there doing selfies, a guy in the center of the street, a bunch of other people here. So this is exactly what he's playing on, is the people that are coming out and cheering him on.
Yeah, you get people that are kind of hyping him up a little bit, too. We saw just earlier in this chase, there was a guy that was running over with his cell phone, and obviously we're encouraging people, don't do anything like that, because we don't know the situation with this guy. I mean, like we said, suspected DUI here, but Gil, you said that, you never know what kind of situation, mental space this person might be in. We don't know if this person has a weapon. There was no reports of that, but it's unclear right now. That's why the sheriff's deputies are being so cautious as well.
Exactly right. You don't want to get involved whatsoever. We've seen in the past on pursuits where civilians will try to bring the pursuit to an end with their own vehicle. They'll try to ram the car or try to block their way. You never want to do anything like that, especially getting out on foot and trying to, confront this guy.
Gil, earlier we did see deputies back off for whatever reason that was. Are they keeping kind of a consistent distance right now? We know they obviously can't get too close because of that spike strip. Yeah, it appears they're kind of in that same spot, playing that waiting game, as it appears he's making either a left or another U-turn.
He is. There he goes. He's making that U-turn, dragging that, having a little bit of a trouble making that turn, but he was able to do it because he's going about 1 mile an hour, so not a problem there. But any faster, this gives us an opportunity to look at the tires and also look into the car itself to see if we see anybody. It looks like that passenger side is empty, so it looks like it's just the driver only. It looks like nobody in the back seat. I mean, maybe you can see better on your monitors there if you can see anyone in that seat. But
it looks pretty empty to us as well. I think it's just kind of hard because there's some reflections at times because he's so animated behind the wheel. So you see him with his arm and he's waving around trying to talk to anybody that's there on the street, and we see that spike strip is still just kind of lazing along, just chasing right after him too.
It is. It's so strange to see that, but it hooked up on there somehow, maybe got onto his tailpipe or whatever, and is there just dragging along, but it's not coming off. And that's problematic for the deputies to get in there for a pit maneuver if they decide to do that.
There goes the tire, back left tire.
Okay, so there we go. They're starting to shred, and now he's got at least look and see. Oh, he almost hit them. Oh man! And look at what happens. He's trying to speed up, and this is exactly what I was talking about. As soon as you get on those rims, it's like being on ice. That car has no control.
Oh my goodness, that was pretty close too, and that's why again we're just reminding people don't approach this vehicle by any means. If this guy, he may not having any control like that because it's so slick now that he's pretty much on metal.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's kind of like a train. Once you're down to the rims, it's kind of like a train running on the street. It has no way of steering, no way of controlling it. You just slide around and glide around, and especially when you hit the gas, you just start fishtailing like he was doing there.
Already dangerous enough with the lack of tread there, and now we understand he may be intoxicated as he starts whipping around here as he approaches this intersection. Gil, he seems to be going back yet again the same direction we first saw him in?
He is. He's back northbound again on Wilmington, and you see the deputies there. Let's come out to a wider shot. No cross traffic. Everybody knows this guy's coming. He's going slow, and so he's just kind of going right down the middle of the street and right through that intersection, but still refusing to pull over.
And Gil, do they still have the police chopper up overhead as well, monitoring him just in case the deputies had to back off for a moment?
They do. They have the sheriff's helicopter overhead. They have LAPD also can assist in this pursuit because it's very close to their jurisdiction. In fact, when he passes north of the 105, then he's back into their area. So there's a lot of resources here, and this guy really isn't going to go anywhere. But the concern right now is that the more he drives, the more those tires are going to come off, and then if he decides to drive faster, then he's going to have issues.
We keep seeing people up there on the side of the road, and he seems to be feeding off this. We want to remind our viewers in this area to stay off the streets, don't encourage him, as he tends to be picking up speed. Gil, can you tell our viewers, remind our viewers, at what speeds even a pit maneuver would be functional at this point? Because he's definitely going faster than we've seen him.
He is. Right now he's going faster, and look how the car is swaying back and forth. Any faster and he's going to start losing control. The fear there is that he's going to slam into someone on the streets. Look at how many people are coming out. You don't want to be anywhere near this guy when he starts driving any faster than this. But certainly speeds of 20 miles an hour, that's probably about where he's at right now, 15, 20 miles an hour. It's very dangerous. He has two blown tires and two rims that have no tires, so it makes it very difficult to steer, and it's going to get even harder once those other tires come off.
And Gil, can you give us an idea, that spike strip, either part of it broke off, it got shorter, did it get kind of wrapped up in the wheel? What are we seeing?
It did. It came apart. It finally broke apart. It's a little tough for me to tell. It looks like it has a little bit of a tail there still. Yeah, part of it's still there, but part of it, the majority of it broke away.
You seem to wonder why he picks up speed, the less traction he has on his tires. But here he is picking up speed, at least faster than what we've seen, even though it's still considerably not that fast. Gil, what's he? Oh, he's busting another U-turn yet again.
Here he goes, southbound now again. Now he's going to talk to the deputies. So here we go. They're going to pop their doors open, and no, he's going to say, no, I'm backing out of here. And look at that. They just carving up the street. Oh, man.
Wow. So there he goes, a little bit of a game of cat and mouse there. Here we go, we're gonna stop, and now he keeps on going too. He looks like he's just trying to mess with them at this point and trying to get the attention that he's garnering here from the people on the street too.
He is. He definitely is. And oh, look at that. He's having a little bit of trouble under the bridge. Let's see if he pops out the other side, but it looked like he started going towards the curb because he really can't control that car. And oh no, he is on let's see what this is. Oh, this is going to be eastbound. This is eastbound Imperial.
So he's headed eastbound now on Imperial. He was heading the other direction earlier. Now he's getting back on, keeping that speed. Obviously, the most dangerous thing right now is that he has no control. The people around him have no idea that he's leading deputies on a chase.
Yeah, exactly. And here's my concern right now. Let's see if he has the ability to do it, to get onto the freeway from here. I don't think he's thinking that. Here he goes, U-turn.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's just U-turning now, turning back around, so he's going now westbound once again on Imperial Highway. Not a lot of cars around here. If he does lose control, it looks like he could go into the other side of Imperial Highway, though, which can be concerning because there's other cars lined up on that side.
Exactly. Those cars trying to go behind the deputies' vehicles there. They're backed up there. They have nowhere to go. This guy, though, driving slowly, thankfully right by them, and he's going to continue westbound back towards Wilmington, and we'll see what he does if he tries to go back on Wilmington. It looks like he's not. He's going to continue westbound on Imperial, back the direction he initially was driving earlier.
Gil, I feel like in past chases when we've seen drivers do even less than this, we've seen deputies get more aggressive with the driver, but it seems that they're just giving him all the space that he needs. Is this something in your experience that you've seen before, just kind of this playing this very patient game with him?
Yes, I've seen this many times. They will give this guy or they'll give a driver a lot of leeway like this to really think about what they're doing, especially when the car is becoming more and more disabled. It really doesn't make sense to continue. But for the deputies, they want to, make sure nobody gets hurt, including themselves. But, that patience may wear out soon. The good news is that spike strip broke away. There's just a tiny bit left on it. And with the speeds this guy's driving and the fact that he's down on 2 rims now, it gives them an opportunity to, if they want to, do a pit maneuver.
And did he speed up at all, too? It looks like he's trying to go a bit faster, but again, that loss of control he's going to have because he's pretty much there right on the rims.
Yes, I think he's trying to go faster. I think he's trying to measure what he can do with that vehicle, with the rims that he, being on the rims, and so that will be difficult for the deputies to get to continue with.
Gil, we're still on Imperial Highway here.
Still westbound Imperial, yes.
Okay, we want to let our viewers know that that our 6 p.m. show is wrapping up. We're going to continue this chase on NBCLA.com.
Continuing westbound Imperial Highway, passing Success Street, about 15 miles an hour. This driver wanted for reckless driving and suspected DUI. It's been leading the Century Sheriffs in a pursuit now for over, well, it's going to be probably about 40 minutes now. Slow speed chase with the driver running over several spike strips, which has led to basically all the tires on the vehicle being deflated, and now down to two rims instead of the tires on the front drivers and the rear passenger side. Those two are down to rims, and then possibly that rear one here on the driver's side is about to go if it hasn't yet. Oh, he's got cross traffic here. Look at this. Oh man, right in front of that car, he had a red light. He went through the red light. That vehicle, not knowing what was happening, that guy just pulled right out in front of him. So that was Central, westbound on Imperial Highway from Central now. Fortunately, he was driving slow enough for that person to see him pulling out, and they were able to hit the brakes. Here he goes, maybe thinking about turning there maybe, but he's going to be swinging around Imperial here, westbound heading towards the 110 freeway. The driver yelling out the window, the driver signaling to people on the streets, talking to people on the streets. We saw, during this pursuit, we saw a man pull his bicycle out in the middle of Imperial Highway and then chase the guy down with his cell phone. Looked like he was possibly doing a selfie or something, but tried to catch up with him as the deputies were in trail. Westbound Imperial Highway approaching Stanford. Speeds, I'm hearing 25 miles an hour. Let me take you back in tight to see what the driver's doing. Inside the car, you see him with his arm hanging out the window, at times waving, gesturing to people. At one point, he pulled out a box. Not sure what that box was, and waved it out the window. Here he's setting up for a right-hand turn. So this is a new direction that we have not seen. Northbound Avalon from Imperial Highway. Northbound Avalon from Imperial Highway. The driver going a different direction now in this pursuit that we have not seen. over those tracks. Again, all 4 tires at this point punctured. He's got some remnants there of the spike strip that he ran over, the last one that he ran over. From what I'm hearing, he's run over at least 2 spike strips. The second one there, trailing behind the car, it was much longer earlier, but about 5 minutes ago, it just part of it detached. Northbound Avalon from 111th, 20 miles an hour speed. It looks like the driver's by himself in the vehicle, and he's got his hazards going. Now I'm hearing that trying to get a canine unit involved in the pursuit in the event that this comes to a stop. They can deploy that canine to bring it to an end. Northbound Avalon, passing 109th. There's some guy that just walked out. You don't want to do that. You want to stay inside your house. You don't want to come out into the street. You don't want to walk into the street, certainly like that fellow did there, but you want to just stay away from this. This driver is reckless driving, wanted for reckless driving and for suspected DUI, and is down to 2 rims and 2 tires that have already blown that are about to go. So he's got very little control of this vehicle, and if he drives any faster than he does, or than he's doing right now, that can be that can mean big trouble for the driver and anyone on the sidewalks or around him, any cars that are parked or cars driving in the opposite direction. So you got to give this guy a big wake, give this guy a big area of distance around him so that you don't get hurt. But here he goes, northbound Avalon. Northbound Avalon through 104th. Deputy's right behind him. I took a break there to bring up my scanners for the LAPD to see what they're talking about in this, because now it's coming into their jurisdiction, or is in their jurisdiction. The sheriff's there as the lead in this pursuit, and to see what kind of assistance LAPD might bring to this pursuit, if any. Coming up to Century Boulevard, there is cross traffic. They blocked that off, or he's went right through that red light. And here he goes out with something else. Waving at the fire trucks going by on the opposite direction. Okay, so that rear tire on the driver's side looks like it's about to come off. Look at how it's tearing up the bumper. That bumper might go as well. So that rear driver's side tire about to come off altogether, then he'll be on a rim there. So he'll be down to 3 rims. I don't know about the driver or the passenger front side, but certainly he's on 2 rims and about to be on 3, if not 4 already. Now it looks like he's just having a conversation with himself, hanging his arm out the door. All right, it's about to get interesting now. Let me come out wide here to a wider shot and show you the activity of the deputies behind the vehicle. He's got some cross traffic. We'll see what they do, but I'll keep that a secret for now. And here he comes up to a red light. He's going to turn right. Right turn, David. And right turn eastbound Manchester. Eastbound Manchester from Avalon. He's picked up the speed now that he's turned onto Manchester a little bit. He's pulled away from the deputies a bit. Now, I am hearing for the first time about officers or deputies doing a pit maneuver, but it has to be from a pit maneuver qualified unit that's been trained to do so. We'll see what happens with that, but in the meantime, they're giving him a lot of distance here, this driver, and we'll see if they implement that pit maneuver coming up soon. But so far, eastbound Manchester, some cross traffic I'm hearing they're calling. Let's take a look as they come out. Here he comes up to Central. He's been on Central several times in this pursuit, and he's going to go straight through it, so he's continuing eastbound. Gives us another look at that rear tire, just about to go. Look at how that bumper is just flailing with every time that tire hits it. Comes up Hoover, he's going to go northbound. Hooper, northbound on Hooper. Northbound Hooper from Manchester. If you're just joining us on the web, this is Gil Leyvas in News Chopper 4 Bravo following a pursuit that's coming out of the Willowbrook area. This is a suspected DUI driver wanted for reckless driving. Century Sheriff's been in pursuit now for about 45 minutes or so. They've laid out a spike strip, several spike strips, one of which is dragging behind the vehicle right now, and those spike strips successful in popping all four tires. He's down to at least 2 rims right now, and the rear tire there that you're seeing is about to shed its final tread. The driver, in the meantime, having maybe a conversation with himself. We saw that maybe he was even singing at one point. During the pursuit, he's been talking to people on the curbs. We saw a man come out into the street at one point and on a bicycle, left the bicycle in the street and chased after this driver. This pursuit has been on surface streets mostly, has not been on any freeways that we know of. But now he's gone further north past the 105. Here he goes again with the box. I don't know what it is. Let's see if we can see what it is. Maybe it's a book. Hard to say what that is. Some sort of box, a book. It looks like a book. Okay, I saw the what looked like pages of a book. So it's some sort of book that he's flashing out the window. Well, let's come out to a wider shot. He's coming up to Florence. So far, he's not done any U-turns like he's been doing earlier in the pursuit. He's He's got a green light now coming through Florence, so he should not have any cross-traffic issues. Northbound Hooper from Florence. Looks like he's steering with his left hand and waving to people with his right hand. Coming up to Gage, he's got cross traffic. Let's see if he stops. He hits the brakes and he slides through that. There goes a big piece of the vehicle. Oh, that's part of the rim, I think. That could be the front rim. Let's take a look. Part of maybe part of the back tire that came, or back rim that came off. Northbound Hooper through 60th Street. There comes the book again, or what appears to be a book. He's waving it out, and now look at he's having some problems here because he sped up a little bit, driving with one hand, puts the book out the window, and the car starts to fishtail. Might be setting up for a right turn here. He's getting over to the right lane. Now he's got traffic. Maybe that's why. Nope, he is going to make that right turn on Slauson. Eastbound turn onto Slauson, and he maintains his turn there because he took it slow. Eastbound Slauson from Hooper. It appears that it's the driver only in the vehicle, no passengers. Now it looks like he's rolled up his window. He's rolled up the window. Looks like he might be fiddling with the cell phone. Yes, he's got a cell phone in his right hand, or some device like that. It looks like a cell phone. He's rolled the window up. He's driving a little faster now. Eastbound Slauson approaching Alameda. Slowed down a little bit here. He's got the over crossing there, the train. Here's a wider shot once again, so you see how many deputies are trailing in this pursuit. 6, 7, at least 7 that I can see with the camera right now. Here he comes through the intersection. Eastbound Slauson past Holmes. Oh, he goes. He goes into the center. Not sure why. No reason for that. He's going to set up a U-turn. We haven't seen a U-turn in a while. But here's a chance to look at the tires on the other side, and they're, well, it's the same situation as the other side. All four rims are showing. The two rear tires are down to barely nothing at this point. So he basically, essentially at this point, is on all four rims. Westbound Slauson now through Holmes. Look at how, now you can see with the sun, you can see how those rims are just tearing up the road there as he continues to drive on the rims. Has some cross traffic coming up that I'm hearing the sheriff's airship overhead calling the pursuit. And here's some traffic in the intersection, and he makes it through clean. That was Compton. Westbound Slauson through Compton. Light traffic speeds about 15 miles an hour. And with that U-turn, we were able to see that he is basically down to the rims now on all four. The rear tires have a little bit of tread left, but not much. Hey, Catherine, we're well over an hour and 20 probably or so. Westbound Slauson through Central. If he continues on Slauson here, he'll have the 110 freeway up ahead in about a mile and a half or so. Westbound Slauson approaching McKinley. Slowing down a little bit here. Let me come out wider to see why. Or it's just more of the cat and mouse. He's got no one in front of him. Through McKinley. At least 7 sheriff's units behind the pursuit. They've called for a K9 unit to get involved. He's waving his hand out the window. Might see someone on the side of the street. He's got some cross traffic we're hearing at the intersection coming up. There's some people in the corner. And he's through that intersection. Well, he's going to make a, well, he looked like he was going to make a U-turn, but he said, no, I'm going to go south. Southbound Avalon. He's been on Avalon. Oh, he's going to lose control there a little bit, maybe. No, he's going to make a U-turn. He's got no tread. He has no tread on these tires, on these rims. Nothing. Now he's going right through the intersection. He just came through northbound on Avalon from Slauson. apparently no rhyme or reason for the direction of travel he's going. We have not seen him in this pursuit go this far north. And now I'm hearing that, okay, we might see some action here regarding the pit maneuver. We're going to look for units approaching, but enough's enough. Is driver, the sheriffs have been very patient with this driver. He's had many opportunities to pull over, and my pilot, David Viskovich, he's seeing it out his side of the helicopter. Here comes that unit super fast. We're going to watch this guy. This is the pit maneuver, pit qualified unit, and he's going to wait for the proper time when there's no traffic. Slide right, David, a little bit. Slide right. We don't want to miss. Here it comes. Here comes the pit. They're going to take him out right now. Here it goes. And that is going to do it. They're going to push him down the street a little bit, and the car is going to roll to a stop. The door's opening, and the driver coming out with his hands. He lays immediately down. The car is going to drift right into the curb there, and hopefully it doesn't hit that car. Okay, it stopped. Thankfully, it didn't hit anybody or that car, and the driver, knowing that he's had it, dives out onto the ground, onto his stomach. He knows the gig is up, and here it is at Avalon. And I'm going to come in to confirm the street, 52nd. It looks like 52nd Street and Avalon. It came to an end. We see the K9 vehicle there at the bottom of the screen in position, ready in case they need it. But this guy immediately comes out of the car, complying, lays down, almost got run over by his own car there, but lays down on the street. The car goes to the curb and stops. And now they're going to move in and take him into custody. It was a perfect spot for that pit maneuver. That deputy doing it exactly right. And that's it. 52nd and Avalon, this pursuit comes to an end. About, I'd say about an hour long pursuit, maybe even a little longer than that at this point. Starting in Willowbrook in Century Sheriff's Division. Reckless driver, that was the initial want on the vehicle, and suspected DUI driver. Same here. Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's it for this pursuit. Coming to an end, 52nd and Avalon. The vehicle crashing into the curb, but not into anybody or a vehicle. That's good news. They have shut that vehicle down to the rims. All four rims were exposed in this pursuit. The driver refusing to pull over, wanted for reckless driving, and possible suspected DUI driver being taken away by deputies who did a great job. A lot of patience in this pursuit by those deputies, holding off as long as they could. But when he made that U-turn through that intersection just moments ago, they said enough's enough. They brought in the pit qualified unit to bring it to an end, and they did an excellent job of doing so. Now he's fighting with the officers, or the deputies. Look at this. He's mouthing off to them, and he's looking over his shoulder. He's not wanting to go in, so they're going to have to wrestle him in. He's refusing to get in there, but now they're going to have to bring him in from the other side, and he is fighting them now at this point. This is awful. And that's it. He's secure in the vehicle. And that'll wrap up our coverage on the web. Thank you for joining us, and make sure you tune in to our 11 p.m. newscast, NBC4 News at 11 for the very latest on this pursuit coverage. This is Gil Leyvas, News Job 4 Bravo, signing off.